I forgot to turn the constant loop off. Gotta love a good live show. Welcome to the HVAC Guide for Homeowners live show, where we talk about all things HVAC that no one else is talking about. My name is Josh, and we will be answering your questions live. Sometimes we are joined by other pros, which I think is going to happen a lot tonight because Ryan has a big following on the other side, the guys that actually do this every day. So welcome to you guys that are watching on Ryan's channel. We will be answering questions live, and sometimes if I don't know the answer, they will, which is not that hard. Let's be honest. Tonight, we do have a special guest who is an expert in the industry. But before we bring on Ryan, let's take a moment to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. The first thing is those of you that have been watching our show, been watching us every week, just a reminder, and if you are new to us, the show itself has a new home. So if you are watching this currently on the old channel, if you're watching this fat face on the HVAC Guide for Homeowners YouTube channel, everything is getting moved over to the HVAC Guide live show YouTube channel. And so if you go to our YouTube channel and scroll to the bottom, you should see a little subscribe button there, or you can just search HVAC Guide live show. And you should see this fat face pop up. So make sure you subscribe to the new channel. It won't be much longer that you will not see me popping up on the old channel every week. We'll just be on the new channel very, very soon. Next week, we're joined by one of the guests we've had on before. Some of you have asked for him to come back on again. And so if you've ever seen the YouTube channel, Taddy's, I think it's called Taddy's Digests, something like that. Tad Fuller, we had a lot of fun with him, and he's going to be on our show next week. So make sure you're here next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, as always, every week, every Tuesday night. And then finally, if you don't mind, just as a personal favor to me, and if you're watching on Ryan's channel, him as well, do me a favor, and it would, it just helps us so much if you could just please hit that like button. And then if you don't mind sharing it, that would help too, but at least hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm, and we would definitely appreciate that. Last thing is, before we get started, let's take a moment to pay the bills and thank the sponsor of tonight's show. I wanted to take a quick break and tell you about something I'm doing outside of educating folks on our YouTube channel. If you're a service professional of any type, you don't have to be an HVAC, I want to invite you to check out our growth groups at newhvacguide.com. They are full of other pros like you that are wanting to grow. You can share strategies, overcome challenges, and unlock your full potential with the supportive community of your peers. Learn from industry experts and proven business tactics tailored specifically for service businesses.
The amount of information that I've gotten out of this has been unparalleled value. And I've learned so much from the other guys in the group, what to do, sometimes what not to do. It's helped inspire me. I'm really looking forward to what the future holds with it as my company grows and I grow as a person on this call.
Check out the description or the chat for the link. See you soon. Tonight's guest is an expert in the HVAC industry. With over 25 years of experience, Ryan's YouTube channel shows a unique behind-the-scenes look at HVAC repairs with his awesome commentary every step of the way. Ryan also co-hosts and produces one of the top HVAC podcasts and live shows. Full disclaimer, it's one of the shows that I consume on the regular. It's always a lot of fun, and they have some unique guests on there. It's called the Misfits of HVAC, and they play host to many unique and amazing guests every week. Everyone, please welcome Ryan Hughes. Let's go.
Right on. Thank you, man. You're pumping me up way too much. I appreciate it, though. It's very, very, very happy to hear. Thank you so much, Joshua. Josh, can I call you Josh?
You can call me Frank if you want to. We will get along just fine.
Well, thanks a lot, man, for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. All those people that just cheered, they've been lining up outside the studio since this morning. You know, they've got kids on their shoulders. Some of the ladies have been lifting their shirts. It's been crazy. They've been waiting for you, man.
And speaking of that, one of the in fact, the very first time I saw a pair of female breasts was at the very
Uh,
first concert I ever went to. It was Pantera, Sepultura, and Biohazard. I must have been
oh my
14.
gosh.
Yeah, and we went and with my buddy and his dad, and there was a girl up on the shoulders, and just there it went. And it just brought back a good memory for me there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that really ages you though. That you're showing your age throwing out
I know.
Pantera there.
Oh, I know.
Um, that's good stuff though.
Yep.
So let's back up a little bit. I don't know how much you get to be the guest and you get to answer the questions, but I'm gonna ask you some tough questions tonight. I'm gonna hold you to the fire a little bit.
Oh,
Let's go back to a young Ryan and how did you get into this trade?
well, as a lot of people out there probably are, I was a troubled youth, growing up through high school. I had a lot of basically my dad died when I was young, and there's a whole story for that, but I was in a dark place pretty much all through high school. Didn't do well in school, was never a learner, didn't do very well. Did good enough to pass and never got held back. But after high school, me and my mom sat down and was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're not the best in school. So I wanted to go to the Pittsburgh Art Institute for videography and video editing, but this was the late 90s. It was all VHS back then. So we went down and we toured the campus, and I was like, this is awesome. I want to move to Pittsburgh. I don't want to be in Hermitage, Pennsylvania anymore. And with my mom's, knowledge and wisdom, she said, I don't know, this might not be the best idea. Why don't you do something a little more practical? So we decided on trade school. So we went and toured the trade school, and I didn't want to be an electrician. I didn't want to be in construction. And I was like, this HVAC sounds cool. So that's what I decided to do. I took a 2-year course in trade school for HVAC, and did not do the best in the school. I did enough to pass, a lot like high school was for me. I passed, I got my EPA, and then I went off and found my first job, which was being a maintenance guy at the Holiday Inn for 6 months until I got my first HVAC job. And that was at a company called Agway. They delivered fuel oil, and that's where I really started to, hone in. I was like, this is cool. There was a lot of good guys there that taught and were willing to teach me, that I'm still friends with to this day, but that's where I learned to tune up an oil furnace. And that's how I got into it, tuning up oil furnaces right off the rip.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a lot to unpack there.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So
Yeah.
what was it about HVAC when, cause I've told this story before. I remember, and I'm kind of hard on trade schools sometimes, and
Yeah.
sometimes maybe it's a little too hard, but sometimes I think it's warranted.
Yeah.
And the reason is I went to a great school. I had a great teacher. The school I actually went to did not have an HVAC program. So little trivia question for you. I actually went to school originally to be an electrician.
Okay.
And that said, I remember going to that first meet, like the auditorium. They're like, anybody that is sure you're not going to college, go to the auditorium. They didn't say anything else other than that. And I'm like, well, that's me. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be going to college. I had okay grades, but I grew up poor and I just knew I didn't want to go in debt and all that fun stuff. Right. So
Sure.
I go to the auditorium, and I would say 80% of the spiel was them talking about how great and how many opportunities there are at getting into computers and getting into masonry. That was the two classes they really pushed.
Really?
And yeah, and I later found out a year or two later, once you kind of get to see how the hot dogs are made, a little behind the scenes, was those classes were in trouble. They weren't getting
Oh,
enough students picking those classes. And I'm sorry, but that's just disingenuous to me. Don't give me a song and dance about why or how masonry, how you can get a starting out job with all this money starting out just because you need to fill a class, you
sure.
know? And I
Not,
don't know.
nothing against masonry, but that's rough.
Well, yeah,
That's
yeah,
hard work right there.
yeah.
You know,
No,
that's
definitely nothing. That's an art in itself. I definitely don't want to offend anybody, but yeah.
oh no, no, you've got to be a dedicated and strong. I've known a couple stonemasons, and it's not cut out for me. I'd rather just pull vacuum pumps and recovery machines and cylinders up the roof. That's about, the extent of the hard work, for me. But yeah, I went to the trade school. They laid out what classes they had, electricity, electrical, construction, welding. They had truck driving. It was called
Whoa,
Newcastle School of Trades. Newcastle School of
that's
Trades
really
is
unique.
where I went, and I just gravitated towards the heating and air conditioning. I thought it was cool. Just a little background too was, growing up, my dad was a rental property owner, so I got a taste of how to fix things, and might not have been HVAC related, but it was plumbing. It was replacing carpet, windows, doors, anything that could be fixed in a rental property. I grew up doing with him, and, I didn't love it. I was like, oh, great, we go to this place again. But that's kind of where I got my, you know, work ethic. And I think work ethic has a lot to do about how, you might not be the smartest guy and be the best at HVAC. I mean, I'm a testament to that. There's so many smart people out there. I've interviewed plenty of them on my podcast. But, a good work ethic and going the extra mile and doing the best you can and putting forth 100%, even if you don't know all the answers, finding them, reaching out, calling tech support, reaching out to another service tech that might know, doing the best you can and working and showing up and helping out goes a long way. But yeah, I mean, that's what I just picked HVAC because I thought it was cool. And back then in the late 90s, trade schools was frowned upon, nobody thought it was cool. I remember talking with a bunch of people that I graduated with. We all met up at the bar or whatever, after we had graduated, and I was telling them about what I'm doing. They're all going to college, and I'm like, I'm going to trade school. I'm going to be an HVAC guy. Well, little did they know now I'm on your podcast. I got my own podcast and a YouTube channel, and I'm doing pretty good for myself and my family now.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, flexing on all those haters.
That's right.
Emery says, I have a question. What is the different refrigerant lines in an AC system? A lot to unpack on that question.
Can I answer?
You please.
Well, there's the big one and the small one.
There we go.
There's the cold one and the hot one. No, but you've got your suction line, your liquid line. There's plenty of different lines, but go ahead, Josh.
I think you nailed it. I think in AC mode, right, we've got our suction and liquid line. And then I've always wondered, because in a heat pump, so where I live, it's predominantly heat pump systems. And, you've got your big and small line, but that technically flip when we are in heating mode, right? So
Yes.
I've always wondered, though, at the manufacturing or the engineering level, you've got 3 tubes coming in the bottom of the reversing valve and 1 coming in the top. And I wonder if behind the scenes they've got their own language, and they're like, that's the true suction. That's the, hyper link liquid, or, I mean, I don't know. I'm just making up stuff now, but I've
Yeah.
always wondered that because technically, the suction is no longer the suction if it's in heating mode, right? So
Well, you've got your one dedicated suction line. It's always suction coming
yeah.
off the reversing valve. The other one just shoots it to one side, redirects that refrigerant flow. Um, I don't see a ton of heat pumps now working on rooftop units doing light commercial work, but we do run
Really?
into them. Yeah, not where I'm at in Western Pennsylvania and Eastern Ohio. Every once in a while we do, and in fact, I ran into one where it was they had the heat recovery, uh, and I had to call my buddy Steve, Mister Everything HVACR, here in the chat, and he was a great help. Just wanted
Yeah.
to confirm what position that valve should be in if it's not energized, and it turned out I had a bad valve on that one, but it was just like a reversing valve. It was a
Uh-huh.
heat recovery valve, but
Nice.
it was cool. Yeah,
Yeah, Steve's a smart fella.
he
Brian
is.
wants to know what type of beard oil you use, and I'd like to answer this one if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm pretty sure you're using vacuum pump oil in that beard. Am I right? Is that
Only during the day. I've actually gotten away from using beard oil. I was at first, but I picked up this stuff. We do a lot of work for the women's supply places called Sally Beauty, and they have a whole beard oil area dedicated for men. So I picked up this stuff. It's called Beard Oil Beard Guys. I don't know if you guys can see that. Beard Guys beard oil with Grotein. I don't know, but that's what I've been using lately. I just got home from vacation, so I've been unpacking my bag. I don't just keep my beard oil at the at hand's length here, but Honest Amish. Have you tried that?
are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I'm not a man. I don't have a manly beard, so I don't use oil.
You
I'm lucky to have what I have. So
should put a little bit in there. Honest Amish is a good beard oil. It's made locally here, right where I'm at in Greenville,
really,
Pennsylvania, too. I didn't realize that because I started growing the beard, and then I searched beard oils on YouTube. So I was getting all these videos, and everybody said, Honest Amish, get Honest Amish. So I went on Amazon, I bought it, and then I looked on the tag on the beard oil. It's made right here, 15 miles up the road in Greenville, Pennsylvania. And they're not even Amish, the people that make it. So
nice. I had to put a drop an affiliate link in this chat while you were talking about Honest Amish. So there you go.
is that the link right there?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, that link I just dropped. As soon as you said it, I was like, "Bing!"
Very nice.
I don't use I don't know how. We can talk off the air about other stuff, but I don't feel like I don't do the affiliate stuff enough sometimes, right? I don't know.
Don't do it at all. I haven't mastered it yet. There's so much with the social media, and if I can just go off topic here, social media for
Yeah.
me has been just a game changer as far as learning. Even though I've been in the business for so long, there's so much to learn, and I've learned so much from people I watch on YouTube. Steve being one of them, my other buddy Rick Dermeyer of Everything HVACR, his YouTube channel. Very smart guys. Chris Stevens, everybody over here at the HVAC Overtime Show. And there's just so much good content out there, and it's all free. And
Yeah.
it's a very good, I've learned so much, but that's very positive thing for young techs coming up now in the trade. I mean, any question you could ever want answered, you don't have to embarrass yourself or reach out, hang your head and say, and blogger too, Nestor, he's got a great content too, and a great channel. But you don't have to be vulnerable anymore and put yourself out there and say, hey, I need help. Even though I think there's a certain quality to to reaching out to somebody and letting them know, hey, really want to learn. But all the information's out there for anybody that wants to learn anything at this point. And I didn't have that coming up at all. We didn't have GPS. We didn't have cell phones. I don't know how the hell I learned anything, but it's crazy. Social media just has exploded with the technology out there and the information. Craig Migliaccio, Ty Brannaman, Chris Stevens. I mean, these are just the three right off the top of my head that you can just you can go through their full playlist and just soak it in and just learn so much. But as far as all that other stuff, how to run a podcast and how to do a YouTube channel and how to use affiliate links, I guess I need to be watching more videos on how to do that stuff.
Yeah, we can talk after the show. We'll talk. It's so funny you brought that up though. I taught a class this morning and there was a young fella in there and his, I guess boss, the guy he's working under was there. And the guy he's working under took a moment to just tell me how great he's doing, how committed he is. And he's like, yeah, I'm just a sponge. I'm just trying to learn everything I can. And I told him, I said, if you go home every night, I'm not even telling you to watch 20 videos a night. Just watch 3. If you watch, Brian Orr, Craig Migliaccio, and then my old school favorite is Gray Furnace Man. If you watch those 3 guys, you watch 3 videos a night, I promise you, I told him with his boss standing there, his boss told me he's been in the trade about 4 or 5 years. And that this young fella was probably in the trade about, 4 or 5 months. And I said, if you do that every night, within 3 months, you will know more than he does. And I pointed at his boss. And that's how powerful it is. And I genuinely believe that, it's just crazy.
He was probably like, shut the hell up, dude. No, but another thing I like to do is when I run into something that maybe I'm not up to date on or have some questions about, I'll write it down. I get those little tablets from United Refrigeration, stick them in my pocket, write that down. Go home. All you got to do is search it and it's right there. And it might be from one of your favorite YouTubers or content creators. It's giving you that information. It's really a great time to learn and a great time to be in the trade because they're paying and it's in demand and all the knowledge is out there for you to get. And the more you know, the more that you'll get paid. And you got to take it on yourself to do it. And, I heard you say something about the teacher said to you about the student that he's really doing good. And he's, that's a big thing I like to do too, because we have a lot of apprentices. We get first year all the way up through 5th year apprentices before they top out and they get to come and help. I might be a ball buster. I might be a, the journeyman who, how the stereotype is the journeyman is grumpy and this and that. But at the end of the day, if somebody did something good, I always like to tell them, hey, you're doing good. You did that right. You're working hard and you're doing well. And I think a positive word of encouragement from somebody who is trying to lead somebody goes a long way for young people in the trade that are trying to learn. They don't, we've got great apprentices, Ryan, Jenna, Josh. There's 2 5th years and a first year that I'm working with. And
Nice.
I've just watched them grow so much throughout the last few years and telling them that they're doing well and not always just saying, hey, you didn't do that right. It really goes a long way. You can tell that they feel great about that. And I think positive reinforcement goes a long way with everybody. I like it too. I do something right. My boss says, good job, Ryan. I'm like, feels good, man.
Some of you are commenting and, there's questions all over the place. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to every question. I will tell you, Ryan can see your comments. So some of you are wanting to make sure Ryan sees, so he can see all the comments that I see.
I'm the worst
Just
at it. I don't even read the comments on my own show half the time. It's like, it's so hard to talk and pay attention. These comments, it's hard.
yeah.
Talking, trying to run a show. Please show Ryan my comment on Jennifer. Let me scroll back.
Once you're
Thanks for
done there,
Jennifer.
I've got a hot topic, a question
Yeah.
for you.
Oh, LED handyman service. So California said he reached out to my co-host Jennifer. He was
Uh-huh.
working on a piece of equipment and she helped him. She's another one. She's a content creator who's helping and pushing good knowledge and good quality content. And that's exactly why I linked up with her. So
We tried to
very
have her
cool.
on our show. It just the stars never aligned. I don't know if that subject ever came up between the two of you, but
It
we
did. She
tried.
was like, it totally missed it. She's so busy. She's like
Yeah.
she's got so many irons in the fire. I'm surprised she shows up every Saturday night for the Misfits of HVAC podcast. Um, she, so no offense to you. She did apologize. And when I saw that she missed, I reached out to her. I was like, what's going on? And she was just super swamped and I don't know.
So I do want to answer one question that's popping up here because it's
Yeah.
let's see, I'm trying to go back here. Dora's saying she got a Remy Halo. I'm not sure what she's talking about, it needing to be a certain temperature to be more effective. I don't think the temperature plays a big role, unless I'm wrong. I have not laid hands on those newer uh, peroxide units and all of that. But she also notes that she can smell the neighbor's cigarette smoke. And I don't think that would have anything to do with your indoor air quality products. You're pulling in. I would definitely have a pro look at the envelope of your home, maybe a ventilation type issue. You should not be pulling in neighbors. You know,
I got to wonder if they're adjoined properties with a common wall, possibly.
oh, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I
good
don't know
point.
if they're
Yeah.
super close. Um,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't either.
I think the answer to that sounds like quite the unique situation, and really the only answer we can give you, Dora, is I love the name Dora, by the way. Every time I say that, I picture that children's channel, and I had a friend of mine that his 3-year-old was speaking Spanish before she was speaking English, because of that show, which was kind of interesting. But you and I were talking before the show. I'm going to switch gears on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were talking, you do, it's almost like we are in two different trades, even though we're not, right? So I'm more on the residential side of things. You see things I never see, and I probably see things you never see. Um, and so right now on my side of things, the hot topic in a lot of situations right now is these new refrigerants coming out. It's you know super scary even for some folks. They're just super scared, and they're slightly flammable. I don't know if slightly is even the right word to use there, but they're a little flammable, maybe is the better word. I don't know. But I do an A2L class every week. I'm leading up to a question. Sorry, I'm being long
No,
here. But I do an A2L class where we talk about the new refrigerants coming. And I always point out to the folks in the class, I tell them, guess who's not coming to these classes? Refrigeration guys. Because
yeah.
you guys work on highly flammable refrigerants all the time. And so this is no big deal to you. So I guess my question, can you speak to that? Can you talk a little bit about the fear and the fact that these new refrigerants coming to the residential side of things are or are not flammable? I already see propane. I think he's being sarcastic. There's no propane in these new A2L refrigerants. But anyway, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, just to be clear, I'm no pro refrigeration guy. I do work on a lot of reach-ins, and a lot of them are R290. A lot of the refrigerants I work on in these refrigeration systems aren't, they're not the flammable refrigerants. But from what I've learned and watching so many of these good content creators is good practices is what you need to do. I think I've even seen videos where they're trying to light the refrigerant on fire and it just doesn't happen. Today I worked on an R290 system. I swept it with nitrogen. It was they had a fan going in the kitchen. It was clear, there was no excessive buildup of refrigerant anywhere. The thing only hold 3 ounces of refrigerant anyway. I had to cut in, I had to weld in a filter dryer and make some repairs on a line that had run out. I purged with nitrogen the whole time. I had a wet rag sitting there ready to go. Nothing ever caught on fire. Nothing exploded. And it was fine. Everything worked out perfectly and had the thing cooling in no time. So I think, it takes me back to when I first got into the trade. R22 was the refrigerant for air conditioning. And it was 410A had just come out. Puron had just come out. And I remember all the old guys were like, oh, what a pain in the ass this is going to be. Triple evacuation. It's so susceptible to moisture. It's going to, you had to get the vacuum perfect. You had the triple evac every time. And, everybody was, standing and screaming at the top, the highest peak they could. And now it's 25 years later and, 410's gone or is going and these new refrigerants are coming and the same panic is ensuing and everybody will just have to adjust and adapt and learn. And that's why we've got so many, that's why learning should never stop. And that's one thing I've learned in my experience. There was a period of time right in the middle where I wasn't learning, I tried to learn right at first and then I got complacent and comfortable. And then I started doing YouTube and things. And I was like, wow, I don't know nearly as much as I thought I did. Now that I'm putting out things, it really woke me up and opened my eyes. And the learning never stops. And everything's going to change, as is life. Nothing ever stays the same. And things will come and things will go. You have to adapt and overcome. And if you're the first to learn it and know it, well, then you're more susceptible to getting the higher rate, being put in charge of jobs that other guys can't do. And that's all, going to benefit you. So never stop learning. Don't be afraid. And if you are, look it up. There's so many good people right here in the chat that you could go and follow and watch and learn from. But yeah, I'm no expert on A2Ls and all that stuff, but I'm learning and I'm slowly learning. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And it's a lot of hype.
Right. Yeah. A lot of hype. Yep.
Yep.
So, as you know, we have other segments on our show.
Yeah.
One of those segments is called the Goofy Invention segment, where we come out with some goofy inventions and all that good stuff. So let's take a break for our goofy. I call this Josh's Goofy Inventions. All right, lay it on me, Ryan. You said you have a goofy invention. I've been excited since before the show to hear this.
Now, does it have to be HVAC related invention?
Not necessarily.
Right.
No.
All right. Well, follow me here. Dream recorder. Boom. Dream recorder. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever woken up and had been like, what was I just dreaming about? And you can't remember it. And you think about it all day. You're driving to your job. You're like, I kind of remember it. Dream recorder. You can relive the dream anytime you want. Just hit play, fast forward, rewind,
I like it.
Or maybe there's some dreams you don't want to remember. You could just hit the delete button on those. But then there's dreams that you want to remember. And I don't know
I
if
like it.
I don't know if people out there have dreams. Sometimes I do. I'll go through and have an 8-hour sleep. I'll wake up, no dream. Then I'll wake up some days and I'm like, what in the hell was I just doing? What was going on in my brain and in my mind, you know? And you can never quite remember it fully. So that would be my goofy invention. Dream recorder, you stick it right there on your nightstand, and you can recall all that you thought about all night.
That's pretty cool. I actually wish I had one because my daughter has nightmares
No.
and she's only 3 and I'd love to know what's going on so I can, you know, if we find out there's a certain show that is causing this, we would know to kind of avoid that or whatever. But you said it could get you in trouble. I was thinking about you know, your spouse. My wife would be like, I saw you in the dream looking at that girl. Like I was dream. What do you mean? You know?
Yeah, you can't blame. You can't. I don't know. Maybe it could be used for good. Could be used for evil. You never know. But that'd be one thing I think would be cool. Dream
That would
recorder.
be
But
cool.
there's a lot of other ones out there too.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Huh. Yeah, they have stuff that they're putting in people's brains now. So I guess they could
Oh, I
figure
know.
that out some way.
Neuralink, I believe that's
Yeah.
called, from Elon Musk. It's wild.
Yeah.
Think about this, Josh. I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm assuming you're about my age. I'm 45. Holy crap, I'm 45.
I'm
But
40.
you're 40. So when we were born, technology was so antiquated.
Uh-huh.
Everything, TV, telephone, and there was like it was so antiquated and basic, and we've lived such a lifetime to where now the technology is so crazy that we never could have guessed, and it's only about to get crazier. By the time we're 80, if I ever live to see it, um, I can't even imagine what technology is going to be like in my 80s. It's going to be absolutely wild, just from cell phones and everything, the GPS in the vans. We are a very select generation who was born before technology and are now living in, even my kids, they were born, there was iPhones already and all this technology, but we were right there right before it started. And the Neuralink, it's crazy. I believe that there's some content creators out there said they would be 100% on board with the Neuralink. I figured I would let a few other people try it out first
I
before
wouldn't
I
want to be first
give
in line. Yeah, I'm
no
with you on
doubt.
that.
No
Um,
doubt.
yeah, crazy. I have seen there's some guy that he has limited motor functions,
Yeah.
but he now has Neuralink and he can do certain things or something. I don't know. Which is that's kind of cool, but
Yeah. Super cool. It's super cool. Um, I don't know. What's your thoughts on Elon Musk? Good for society or bad? 'Cause there's 2 spectrums there.
oh, I don't know
Um,
if I'm educated enough to give you an answer. I didn't know he was bad at all. So I guess there's people that think he's bad.
well, there's certain people that think he's bad, that I'm not gonna get into it on your podcast. Maybe we'll bring that up on the Misfits, but there's a lot of people that say that he could be a certain someone, and the way this Neuralink goes, they wanna put that in everybody in the
Oh, I
in
see
the
what you're
future.
saying now.
So, I'm just
Interesting.
saying, you open it up first by helping out, you know, people with handicaps and certain uh, limited mobility, whatever. It's there to
Yeah.
help. But no, I've got a reputation for being a conspiracy theorist. I'm sure I'm just feeding into it now, but you know, TikTok does that to people. Are you a big TikToker? You watch TikTok a lot?
I'm not a TikToker, but I do love a good if I ever make it up to Pennsylvania, I'm gonna buy you a beer, and I want to hear, because I do enjoy that.
There's plenty of rabbit holes to go down. I mean, there's so many, and I hate to even say things out loud anymore because everybody's like pointing a finger. But hey, it's very thought provoking. A lot of these TikTokers are very convincing, and you're laying in bed till 3 in the morning watching TikTok. Sometimes you're like, wow, you watch enough of them, you're like, that could be real. But
yeah, my life just changed forever, because of a 3 a.m. TikTok. That's really good.
It's all fun though. You gotta, that's one thing I've learned in life in HVAC, and then having a family, and then meeting so many great people in social media. And I feel like I have more friends online than I do in real life at this point. But you got to be happy. You have to feel fulfilled, and you got to have a sense of pride. And for me, doing HVAC and being needed, and having the love and support of my family, and also being needed by them, feels good to be like, my wife will be giving me a hard time, be like, hey, you need me around here, so watch your tone. It feels good. Feels good to be needed. And I've made so many good friends. And meeting you, Josh, you're a great guy. You've got a great channel. I love the
Thanks, man.
podcast. I've watched numerous ones where I knew the guest. That's I don't know how it is, but it pops up when I know the guest, and I've certainly taken part. And
Yeah,
it's great. Everybody needs to take their job seriously, but don't take life so seriously, because at the end of the day, it doesn't last forever. So you want to go down a TikTok rabbit hole for a little while. It's all right. It's all fun, and it's all fun. Life should be
no,
fun.
I would love that. No, I appreciate you saying that. I feel the same way about you, and I had never considered that, but I probably feel the same way. I have more friends now because of this crazy content
Yeah.
creation thing than I guess online, than I do in real life. But yeah. Uh, I'm gonna switch gears on you again and change the subject to your show. You
Sure.
guys have a unique show. I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but there's a lot of shows. I don't want to say it's saturated, because there's enough of a pie that everyone could have a slice.
Sure.
But I do know, I was talking to I think it was Adrian, the reliable HVAC guy.
Yeah. Adrian
Um,
Garcia.
Yep, we were talking one night, and he was just basically saying every single night, if you wanted to, if you wanted to watch an HVAC show of some type, I think there's one just about every single night now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until he said that. And he's right. You have your night, I have my night. There's a couple other folks that have their nights. But in contrast, you guys have something different than I think the rest, right? You've had some unique guests. You've had, you and Jennifer certainly playing off of one another. It's just a different show, and I enjoy it myself.
Well,
But yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to that and kind of
sure.
where that all
Sure.
started.
Yeah, the show is the Misfits of HVAC. We go live Saturday nights at 9. We have a guest every episode. We're never just sitting around talking to each other, because it'd be a 20-minute conversation and it'd be over. But Jennifer Manzo is my co-host. She is she speaks for Skillcat online trade school. She has her own TikToks and content. She's just a brilliant individual. She's very smart. She's a engineer from Harvard. All that. She's very smart. I like her. The way it started was I woke up one day. Well, first off, let me step back. I have my own personal YouTube channel called Hughesman HVAC. If you guys want to check that out on YouTube, hit it up.
Please do go subscribe.
Yeah, check that out. But I started doing lives there where I was just having random guests here and there, and I wanted to have Jennifer on as a guest on that. And then I said, you know what? The live streams always seem to get less views than just traditional type videos, at least from my experience. So I really was watching Jennifer and what she was doing on TikTok, and I said, do you want to be the co-host of this thing? And she was like, absolutely, 100%. She was on board. And boom, there we go. We got 60 some episodes now. We'll be hitting 70 here soon. And it's the Misfits of HVAC. We always have a guest, and we've had some great guests. A lot of them are here in the chat. Nestor, Steve from Everything HVACR. We've had Bill Spohn, True Tech Tools, Jim Bergman, Ty Brannaman. We haven't had Brian Orr on yet, but I hear he might be coming on soon.
Oh, very cool.
Craig Migliaccio has been there, and that's just 3 or 4. We've had great content creators, personal friends, and it's not so technical. It's more or less, let's get to meet this personality and talk and introduce them to our small audience. And it makes me feel good to know that I've made a personal connection with many of the people that have come on the show. A lot of them have developed into friendships. We've had Adrian Garcia on Reliable HVACR, and it's a 1-hour show on Saturday night. We have the same people coming back every night for the show, every Saturday night for the show. You can also check out the podcast on all podcasting platforms. And it's been fun for me, and it's given me another avenue to, either piss some people off or be accepted and make them laugh. But it's really been fun. And Jennifer is a great co-host. And like you said, our personalities bounce off of each other, and I think she's great. And I hope to do 1,000 episodes of this show. And it's if we can keep the guests coming in. Speaking of that, when would you like to come on the show, Josh?
Oh man, you would have me? It's funny. It's funny. I think just about every name drop, you were dropping some big names there in our trade. And I have asked almost every one of them to be on my show and gotten very little response. So you guys are big time, man. You're having all the heavy hitters.
You don't have a Jennifer Manzo. You don't have a Jennifer Manzo.
That's the problem.
It would be a good opportunity for Jennifer to explain herself. I'm just saying.
What's that?
As to why she didn't show up.
Oh.
Put her on the spot. No, she's great. She is super busy though. And but yeah, it's been great. We love doing the show. And we're looking for more guests. So if you would like to be on the Misfits of HVAC,
I would love to be on your show. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I feel like a misfit, so I think I would fit right in.
No doubt.
If you've never seen their show, you do got to check it out because it is this LED guy, he loves Jennifer, man. For the record, I think Jennifer's awesome, but we did try to have her on our show and the stars just never aligned. I think she's just so busy that we just never quite got there. But yeah, I mean, she is always welcome. You're always welcome here. And
all right, I'll be back next week then.
Next week, come on.
Coming on every show now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of what makes our show funny is there's no choreo. We're not scripting out anything. We're not, not that you are, because we had very limited amount of pre-show on this. It's just talking, and that's what we're doing. And it's basically just let's hang out. I'm a big fan of the HVAC overtime guys, as you can tell. And I kind of, I don't want to say I bit what they were doing, but they had a good thing going. And it's just 4 guys hanging out. Every once in a while, they have a guest, but I wanted to do it different. I wanted a guest every episode. And I wanted it to be somebody who was either inspiring or has some content that they wanted to push, or promote, not that we had a huge audience, not that we even do now, but I just want to spread the love around and get to know some people. And at the end of the day, it's like a talk show with a little bit of HVAC involved too.
So I don't want to read too much into it, but it sounded like you said they had a good thing going. Is the HVAC overtime show?
No, they have it. They have a good thing going. If I did,
Okay.
I misspoke.
Oh, okay. I just was
Yep.
making sure. Yeah.
Nope.
I think so. Full transparency, I don't watch you guys live, and you probably know that because I never
Yep.
comment, but I always listen to you guys on audio.
Okay.
So like, I usually get it a few days later.
Sure.
Like I literally just watched the Skill Cat one on the way to work this morning.
Okay.
Um, but that said, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the overtime guys, aren't they on a Friday night or a Saturday
Yeah.
night or Sunday
They're
night?
they go Friday nights, and
Friday night.
they've kind of missed a few lately. But Bill Russell, the Curious HVAC guy, he just had a baby, and then Chris Stevens, he has he's sweating his ass off in California. It's so hot, so they've kind of missed a few, and then so, they're still doing it, but it's a great show, guys. You should check out the HVAC Overtime Show. They've become personal friends of mine too. I've done some video editing for them. In fact, if you watch their show, their intro, I edited that for them. So, and it
Oh,
was an
nice.
honor. It was an honor to do it because they're great.
Yeah, I know their intro. I've watched their show as well, but
Yep.
yeah, Friday and Saturday nights has just always been tough for me to to wind down and catch those shows.
Yeah.
Um but I always
It's
listen to the audio, So
it's definitely more viewers in the winter. The viewership falls off on the live shows more in the summer because everybody's out having fun.
it's a good
And
point.
it's kind of funny because we do the show live on YouTube, and then I turn it around and edit it for the audio podcast. Um, we get way more listens and downloads on Spotify and Apple Podcasts than we do on the YouTube channel. So if you go to the Misfits of HVAC YouTube channel and you see we only have 600 and some subscribers and we're only 200 and some views on each video, um, a lot of people are just listening and not watching on there, which is fine with me because that's where we're getting the majority of our consumption of the show. The numbers just blow away the YouTube, but I always try to encourage everybody to head on over, show us some love on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to, make a nickel off of the show, to help pay for the StreamYard subscription and whatnot. But hey, if you're listening to it on the audio, I'm thrilled. I'm just happy people are actually listening and watching. And that's it. I love it. And I'm gonna keep
Yeah, I was
doing it.
trying to do a screen share. My StreamYard has been acting really odd lately. I was trying to do a screen share and show the channel, but
Yeah.
it's just not allowing me to. But yeah, if you guys I know that we've got a little bit of pros in here, a little bit of homeowners in here, because of our respective audiences. But if you're not subscribed to their channel, go give them a subscribe. Even if you're not planning on watching stuff for pros, I just put a link to their channel in the chat because it does, as soon as you get to 1,000, I don't know what your watch hours are, but they'll send these guys a little check and
Yep.
maybe at least help them keep the lights on.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. I appreciate that. And
Yeah, man.
yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I think we've got a couple minutes to fit a couple questions in here. I'm going to switch gears on you again and ask you about the let's see. I know what I want to end the show with. What's the craziest thing you have ever seen in do you have any crazy stories that will just knock our socks off?
Oh man, I've got quite a few stories. If we're talking residential, I've got plenty. Because there's nothing crazier than walking into people's homes. I've also found a few crazy things doing the commercial side. I found a handgun once.
Oh wow.
It was interesting. Found the handgun. I ended up calling the non-emergency number and having a police officer come and get it because, not my gun for one. You don't want to be handling something that you haven't, you know, you don't know what. But yeah, I walked down into a basement once. This was when I was working at Agway. I was young. I had a full head of hair, and it was long because I was cool. I was a skateboarder and I would play the guitar. I thought I was awesome, and I had just gotten into the trade. And this call came in at like 3:30 in the morning, and it was a trailer home, but it was built on a basement, and it was nice. It was a big double wide, you know. It was on a basement. And dude met me out and said, "My oil furnace is messed up." Grabbed my soot vac and my tool bag and everything, walked down to the basement. You know, the light came on up at the top of the steps. I'm walking down, and as I went in, the lights came on more and more. And then I see like a 6-foot stuffed bear. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. And then I'm looking around at the furnace and this and that. And then I notice all the swastika flags
Oh
and
my
the
gosh.
Nazi memorabilia. And I'm like, oh, I'm in that kind of place. And I'm
Ah,
thinking, let me just fix this thing, get out of here. I'm like, thank God I'm white for one. But
yeah.
yeah, it was a total like Nazi whack job. That threw me back a little bit. I was like, wow, right here in Pennsylvania, huh? Um,
Yeah.
that was crazy. But a lot of the stories I have work that way, where you don't really notice it until you're deep inside the home. Then
Yeah.
you start looking around a little bit and noticing there's something not quite right here. Um, and if I could have a little bit of advice or just acknowledgement for anybody working in residential and going into people's homes, um, people are most comfortable in their own home. You're gonna, you know, you think people are a-holes out in public, they can really be in their home. But I've also had a lot of good experiences. I met a lot of good people. When I left my residential company, I stayed friends with a lot of the dispatchers and the people that ran the office at our company. And they would say to me, we still get phone calls asking for you, Ryan, you know? And I think that's something we didn't really touch on here, being it's
Oh,
a
cool.
homeowners thing. But, you know, there's personal connections being made, and people invite you into their home to fix their furnace. They take the advice you give them, you know, to heart, and you can make, you know, good personal connections. And, you know, that's the one thing I miss about what I do now, doing light commercial and stuff, is there's really no personal connection anymore. It's very, I'm just working on the equipment. I might see a manager who's always upset, and that's it. But you know, I got a chance to meet a lot of cool people, and it was all local. So these were people that live in my town, my home, and they respected me. And you know what? That feels good at the end of the day, because you know, to be looked at and trusted to fix people's equipment and feel like they're not getting ripped off, and what you're telling them is legit and it's the right thing to do. You know, there's a sense of pride that goes along with that. And at the end of the day, you can lay your head down and feel good that, you know, everybody wants to be wanted and needed and loved. You know, doing the residential work did that for me. It really made me feel good and gave me a sense of pride.
It's funny you brought that up. It's one of the things I've said before, that when I started my business, I don't know that I ever had too many super close connections before I was the actual business owner. But
Uh-huh.
once I started my business, I always had this intentional line that I would never cross. I remember hiring a guy and he would tell me, "Oh yeah, I hug all of my customers and I call
Hug.
some of them mom." And I would always try to explain to him that, you know, that that's just going to be inappropriate at my
Yeah.
company and such. And
Yeah.
you know, I think there's exceptions to every rule, but if you're doing that to every single older woman that's your customer,
Yeah.
that's a little odd. That's weird. Is it's not good customer service. You're being weird. But that being
No.
said, I as time went on, I remember even saying that no one ever told me about that side of things. And I had a customer that I just remember to this day. She passed away, and I remember bawling in the middle of a staff meeting with all of my customers talking about her because she was
Yeah.
just such an awesome lady.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And and it's the worst when they pass away. I've experienced that myself. You know, you're there and now the husband's gone. It just it wrenches, it hits right here. It's like,
yeah,
it's rough. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, that was the one thing I miss, because believe me, I don't miss the 5 litter boxes surrounding the furnace, or
yeah,
the clothes hanging all over the place, or the super humid, disgusting basements dripping water from all the water pipes. And, but it was, for me, it was the personal connection and getting to know people. And I really, that drove me to try to do the best that I could when I was doing residential. Was people looked to me to, provide them with the best service they could, and they trusted me. And that's one thing I'll never forget. But now it's like, you know, I've made a few personal connections with certain managers of accounts we have on a regular, but it's just not the same. Nobody cares anymore. It's like you try to go in and explain something to them. Well, this is what your unit is. She's like, yeah, whatever. Is it fixed? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's fixed, lady. Just sign here. Thank you very
yeah.
much. uh,
um, well, I want to personally say thank you to all your folks for joining us tonight. We've had I think it's been safe to say I don't know. It tells me what the total number of folks watching us is, but it doesn't
uh-huh.
tell me who's on what platform. Except I do have one window open over here, so I can see what's going on one of the channels. But that said, this has definitely easily been the largest crowd we've had
Wow.
since the beginning of this year.
That's
I had
awesome.
one show last year that we had some insane numbers, and I don't remember. Anyway, this has been the biggest one so far. So I definitely want to say thank you to all your guys, your folks, guys and gals that have been joining us.
That's
Um,
awesome.
that said, I'm going to end with a final question in just a moment, Ryan. So I'll I'll tease that, I'll dangle that out there. Um, but if you're watching in the chat, do me a favor, and the favor is this: we all know, even if I know there's some heating and air guys, I know there's more pros tonight because Ryan's here than usual in our chat, and a lot of guys just simply don't. They get a bad taste in their mouth if anything bad is said about our trade. Unfortunately, I don't feel that way, and sometimes I get some hate for that. That said, we I think we can all agree there are some bad apples in our trade. There are some folks in our trade that make us all look bad. And so because of that, my request to you is if you know a good apple, a good heating and air, a good electrician, a good plumber, you know a good apple out there, share their name and where they're located in the chat. You never know. First of all, you're going to show them some love, but you also never know if someone in your area happens to see your message, and you might show them a little more than love. You might send a little business their way. So share those in the chat, and we'll highlight each one of them. In the meantime, last question for you, Ryan, and that is: Mom is about to buy a heating and air system. She's in the market to replace her heating and air system. What advice are you giving Mom?
Well, you got to at least get 3 quotes. Yeah, right off the bat. Don't take the first quote, get 3. Um, and do your research. Watch the Google reviews, see what other people might have said about the company that put their heating and air conditioning system in. Um, that's about all I got on that one. Do your due diligence. Research the company. Google reviews go a long way. You can Google anything and see what people are saying about that company. Go with a reputable company. Ask your friends who they had do their equipment. And other than that, don't call me because I don't do any side work.
That's funny. I never did side work either.
Yeah.
I guess, I never felt good about it. I know every state is different, and some states you don't need to be licensed to do what we do.
Yeah.
Some states it seems like you need to have 26 licenses to do what we do. But I always wanted to be licensed and insured, whether I was an employee there or the owner. Go ahead.
I don't want to do it because then I've married this problem. And nobody's ever calling me to do side work when everything's great, swapping things out. They want a repair done. I've learned it's not worth it. It always ends up as more of a headache for me at the end of the day. Now, I've worked 8 hours. Now I got to come home and, my buddy I haven't talked to since high school. It's just, I don't do the side work. I do scrap though. And you get a lot of scrap in commercial, a lot of motors,
Nice.
I love scrapping. So I'll make my little extra on the side scrapping.
I never even thought of that. I mean, we did that at my company, but if you're constantly replacing motors and parts, and the accumulation of stuff.
I've actually considered possibly starting a scrapping YouTube channel just because, but it wouldn't be very exciting to be like, here's my pile of motors and copper heading to, but you'd be surprised at, could make an extra $500 a month just instead of throwing it in the trash. I hold on to it and,
Wow.
I like it.
I didn't even know that. Wow. That's pretty good.
I know.
Huh.
So,
well, good enough.
Yep. Very good.
You have any parting words for the folks? Anything you want to end with? Make sure you're subscribed to Ryan's channels, the Misfits of HVAC and Hughes Man HVAC. Anything else, Brian?
I just want to thank you for having me on. I really like what you're doing here. I'm going to be tuning in for Tuesday nights, 8:30. I'm going to be checking it out. I really like it, Josh. Appreciate you having me on. Please check me out on Hughes Man HVAC, Misfits of HVAC podcast every Saturday night. Appreciate you guys coming in, checking me out, checking out Josh. I love what you're doing. So thanks a lot. And can't wait to talk with you again.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And thank you for taking time out to hang out with us tonight and have the highest numbers of the year.
Right on.
That said, we'll be back next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Tad from Taddy's Digest will be here next week. He's been on our show before, and we've actually had folks request him to come back on. So he'll be here next Tuesday night. In the meantime, make it a great week. We'll see you then. Take care.